So it's a cold winter's evening here in Bristol, but warming us up with his amazing tones. It's Mr. Nathaniel Rateliff. Good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Very good, very well, actually. So this is the last stop of the UK leg of this tour. You've been all across the UK and across the island as well, Belfast and Dublin on the tour. How has it been for you?
It's been good. We didn't really have any days off, so a little tiring, but it's been great. Crowds have been great. Shows have been really good. So,
Anything exciting, anything spontaneous that may have happened this time around that hasn't happened before?
we were giving each other tattoos. That was about the only thing. So, yeah.
Tattoos actually on the line. I'll bring it in now. Why not? Let's bring it in now. So a lot of artists, songwriters especially, have this thing with tattoos and sort of the meanings behind them. And just looking at your hands, I can see that you have many. Were any of these sort of conceived during this tour?
That one.
Okay.
And these. Let's see. I don't know what else I got. I think that's it.
the bird, the dove,
Yeah, it was supposed to be a bluebird, and it turned out not as good as I wanted it to be.
Is it, any sort of meaning behind it, or is it just because it was
the bluebird is a Missouri state bird, so it's like, you know, you have a state flower and a state bird and that sort of thing.
So it kind of, because obviously, I mean, you were born in sort of Missouri and then sort of come across to Denver, so it's kind of just reminding you of home, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot that mean much. I just keep getting them for whatever reason.
It's good to know that you enjoyed the tour anyway. You got a nice little break now. You got like 3-week break, 21st, is it? You're heading across to Berlin, so that's your next show back?
Yeah, I can't remember if I fly into München or Berlin. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it home first? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be home for a couple of weeks. You know, yeah, should be good.
Being from Denver?
From Denver, yeah.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
Are you going?
Oh, to the Broncos game?
Yeah.
No. But
Do you
I'll
follow
probably
American
watch.
football?
No, I don't. Not
Really?
My wife does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it like it should be like a national holiday out there now?
Well, it'll be wild in town. Like, our friends own bars, and I'm sure they'll be watching the game, and we'll probably end up there. So.
I've been told like shops close on that day, and sort of it is just kind of it's treated as as if it were Christmas.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. So, I mean, people are really into American football. So, much like, you know, football here. So,
we just did I Am, which is probably, I'm glad that we picked that song for you to do this evening. It's perfect. Talk to us, give us a little something about this record.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of it while I was on tour. And then kind of at the end of the record cycle for In Memory of Loss, I went home and kind of went through all of the like sketches and ideas that I had for songs and like little recordings, and just started to work on them and finish them. I Am was one that had been around for quite a while, though. I think I wrote that and we started performing it like right after we finished In Memory of Loss. So yeah, but it's nice to have finally gotten Falling Faster done and start touring on the material, and because that way I can move on to the next thing. So.
And I'm sure being a musician, and it happens especially to quite a lot of bands, where there are certain sort of songs that sort of sit back in the dusty sort of cupboard that kind of make their way to, you know, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th studio album, not necessarily the one that you put out straight away, one that sort of savors, like a good whiskey, because we know that you're a fan of your whiskey, as we found out just before your session here this evening. So like a distilling, like a good whiskey ready to get out on the, you know, to get that flavor right on par.
3 Fingers In was the song that I've had around for I don't know how many years, that it just took me a long time to figure out. I had it all written, and the melody was there. I didn't like the way I sang it before, and then I reworked it, and yeah, now it's on this record. So.
Your vocal range, though, is outstanding, Nathaniel. I've got to put it there. I really detest sort of likening people to other people, and I really sort of am quite, you know, sort of reserved to people who do that. But I just got to say, just because I'm personal fans of sort of certain artists, and you really sort of nail it, sort of like, you know, in certain songs, like sort of Bill Callahan, I see in certain songs, and then we got this thing, and I've kind of thought in my head, how am I going to sort of phrase this to you this evening? I like to call it the Nate bomb. Am I allowed to call it the Nate bomb? Most Nathaniels don't like being called Nate. The Nate bomb, are we good with that?
Nate. For now, yeah.
These absolute vocal blasts. The Nate bomb comes in, and you hear it in I Am as well. That Nate bomb comes in, and it's just incredible. It's really, isn't it? One of the other things as well, folk. It's kind of, it has the same sort of depth to it. The same tradition. It's mainly about loss, or it's about love. It's certainly in occasions about pain. I'm quite a massive fan of folk myself. I mean, sort of, you went Ireland, you went to Dublin, for example. Mm-hmm. There's a really good folk artist called Glenn Hansard that's from that area. How do you think, sort of like, in terms of the folk that is from our distant cousins across the US, and sort of folk that comes from Celtic background, people like Glenn, how do you think that differs?
There's lots of different types of folk music too, aside from just stringed instruments. I've heard really cool Russian folk music that was just more like gypsy jazz,
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of different types, and I feel like a lot of that music comes from, like a lower class of people, working class people that, they make music in their spare time to forget about everything else. So, and I think that's probably where the relationship is, at least for me. I mean, I always played music because I wanted to,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'd say that's probably representative, actually, of folk. Okay, so just going to move on now. It's the 1st of February today, and for the next 28 days, I've done the unthinkable. I have literally put my hand in the air and said, right, for the next 28 days, I'm not going to eat chocolate. It is
really?
It's a goner for the next 28 days. We're like 16 hours in, and already I'm suffering. I found that I had a half-eaten pack of cookies right in my cupboard.
Are you a big chocolate fan?
I'm a massive chocolate fan. Massive, especially American stuff as well. Over here, though,
really?
when they import it, though, it's really expensive. So stuff like Hershey's, I mean, Hershey's is kind of, they've sort of found its gap in now. But stuff like sort of Butterfinger,
right,
that sort of thing, you're talking like £1.50, which is kind of almost $3 a bar.
Yeah,
for one of those
expensive
in this country. I'm assuming it's a lot less in.
It's way less.
Yeah. Way less. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to eat chocolate for 28 days. If you were to give up something for February, I'm not asking you to, but if you were, what would you give up, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I mean, I could say drinking, or maybe meat for a month would be good too. Either one of those.
Do you have like sort of, I know, because Colorado, like, the way that TV and film sort of represent America, it's kind of like you get these like sort of, these diners on the side of the road. It's quite dusty outside, and then inside they're serving like 50-60 pound steaks. Is that representative of Colorado?
Not so much. I mean, there are places like that, but there's a lot of Mexican restaurants. There's a lot of vegan and vegetarian restaurants in Denver, so yeah.
So you're disapproving of that slightly there?
No, I like it. I love the food. So I didn't eat meat for quite a while. So
we'll move on to like the trademark question, which is a question I ask everybody that I interview, which is the condiment question. So especially with meat and stuff, it's kind of like the condiment question kind of plays its good part in this. If you could compare yourself personally to a condiment, what would you compare yourself to, and why?
I don't know. I would have to say mustard, just because I like mustard. And there's lots of different types of mustard. So you got yellow mustard, you have like brown mustard, you have the grainy, like full grain mustard, and all French mustard. So all of that.
It's kind of relative to kind of like your vocals, then we could say.
Mm-hmm.
We could say the mustard.
A little bit of everything in there.
A little bit of everything in there, and then makes the true sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Okay. And with, obviously we've got Europe coming up. Are we going to see you coming back across for any of the festivals during the summer, or?
I hope so. I think I'm coming back in March, but I don't know where I'll be playing then. So I know I'm coming back in March. I just don't know what the routing will be, or how long I'll be over.
Well, it's cold outside, but it certainly has warmed up inside here now. Nathaniel, thank you very much for your time here this evening.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.